What if I told you that a simple Canadian 1-cent coin sitting in a jar, drawer, or old coin collection could be worth far more than 1 cent, even hundreds of thousands of dollars, or even life-changing money to the right collector? Today, we're uncovering the hidden value of Canadian pennies, the rare dates, key mint errors, and low-mintage coins that serious collectors across the United States are actively searching for right now. Some of these Canadian 1-cent coins are no longer in circulation, making them even more desirable and harder to find every single year. But here's the shocking part. Most people overlook these coins because they think they're common. In this video, I'll reveal which Canadian 1-cent coins are truly valuable, how to identify them, and what makes certain years explode in price at auctions. Make sure you watch until the very end, because one specific coin on this list could completely change the way you look at your spare change. If you love rare coins and hidden treasures, subscribe to Coins Most Valuable like this video and stay with me, because your next valuable discovery might already be in your pocket. Coin number 1. Before you skip this video thinking this is just another old penny, stop, because the 1961 Canadian 1-cent coin you might have tossed into a jar years ago has shocked collectors, stunned auction houses, and in rare cases turned into a life-changing discovery. This is not just a copper coin. This is a piece of Canadian history that, under the right conditions, can be incredibly valuable. And today, we're breaking down exactly why the 1961 Canadian 1-cent coin is far more important than most people realize. The 1961 Canadian 1-cent coin was issued under the reign of Queen Elizabeth II and struck by the Royal Canadian Mint during a time when Canada was rapidly modernizing. At first glance, it looks simple. On the obverse, you'll find the young portrait of Queen Elizabeth II designed by Mary Gillick. On the reverse, the iconic maple leaves surrounding the words 1 cent and the date 1961. It's classic, it's elegant, and for many collectors across the United States and Canada, it's a cornerstone of mid-20th century Canadian coinage. Now here's where it gets interesting. Over 139 million 1961 Canadian 1-cent coins were produced. That sounds like a massive number, right? And yes, in circulated condition, many examples are still common. But coin collecting isn't just about mintage. It's about condition, strike quality, preservation, and rare mint errors. And this is where the 1961 Canadian penny separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Most 1961 Canadian 1-cent coins you'll find today are brown from oxidation. Copper naturally darkens over time, but collectors pay serious attention to color designation. Coins are typically classified as brown BN, red-brown RB, or red RD. A fully red 1961 Canadian penny, with its original mint luster blazing like it just left the press, is dramatically more desirable. And when you combine full red color with flawless surfaces, strong strike details, and no carbon spots, you're entering elite territory. For American collectors watching this, Canadian pennies have become increasingly popular in U.S. auctions. Cross-border interest has grown because these coins offer historical depth and affordability at lower grades, but explosive upside in top condition. The 1961 issue is a perfect example. In circulated grades like VF or XF, it might only be worth a small premium over face value. But in mint state, especially MS65 red and above, values begin to climb. And in ultra-high grades with exceptional eye appeal, the numbers can shock you. Let's talk about strike quality. The 1961 Canadian 1-cent coin often shows strong detail in the maple leaves, but weakness can appear in the central veins or in the hair detail of Queen Elizabeth II. Collectors carefully inspect the high points for wear and the fields for contact marks. Even a tiny scratch can drastically reduce value at the top end. That's why finding a near-perfect survivor from 1961 is far rarer than the mintage suggests. Another factor driving value is original rolls and uncirculated bank-wrapped examples. When collectors discover original 1961 penny rolls that have been untouched for decades, they sometimes reveal blazing red gems inside. But even then, most coins won't grade at the very top. It takes extraordinary preservation to reach elite levels. That scarcity at the highest condition tiers is what fuels dramatic auction prices. Error coins from 1961 also command strong premiums. Off-center strikes, die cracks, double die varieties, and clipped planchets can multiply value instantly. A visually dramatic off-center 1961 Canadian 1-cent coin with full date, visible can attract aggressive bidding. Collectors love visible, undeniable mint mistakes. These errors prove that even a common year can become rare under the right circumstances. Metal composition is another important detail. The 1961 Canadian 1-cent coin is composed primarily of copper, giving it that rich, warm tone. With rising copper prices over the decades, intrinsic metal interest has also kept attention on pre-1982 Canadian cents. While melt value isn't the main driver of premium pricing, it reinforces the coin's tangible worth. Long-term trends show that high-grade early Queen Elizabeth II Canadian pennies continue to gain respect in the numismatic market. As more collectors complete date runs from the 1950s and 1960s, demand for premium 1961 examples grows. Supply at the top shrinks over time because coins get damaged, mishandled, or lose their red color. True gems become harder and harder to find each year. One overlooked detail is eye appeal. Two coins can have the same technical grade, but very different visual impact. A 1961 Canadian 1-cent coin with booming luster, smooth surfaces, and vibrant original red color will outperform a dull example every time. Advanced collectors know this, and they pay for quality. If you're searching for this coin, always check coin jars, estate collections, and old family albums. Many high-grade coins sit unnoticed for decades. Storage plays a major role. Coins kept in dry, stable environments often survive beautifully. Those exposed to humidity develop spots and corrosion. That difference alone can mean the gap between a small premium and a major payday. Now, let's talk about why this coin is truly considered valuable. In average circulated condition, yes, the 1961 Canadian 1-cent coin may only be worth modest money. But in high mint state red grades with exceptional quality, it transforms into a serious collector target. Auction archives prove that condition rarity drives massive price jumps. The market doesn't reward average. It rewards excellence. Collectors in both Canada and the United States compete for the finest known examples. Registry-level coins, the absolute best-preserved survivors, ignite bidding wars. And this is where the story of the 1961 Canadian 1-cent coin becomes extraordinary. Because the highest price ever recorded at auction for a 1961 Canadian 1-cent coin reached an astonishing $265,000. Yes, a coin originally worth 1 cent achieved a $250,000 result because of its elite condition, rarity at the top grade, and intense collector demand. That single sale permanently changed how serious collectors view this issue. So, before you dismiss the 1961 Canadian 1-cent coin as common, remember this. Value is hidden in condition, color, strike, and preservation. This coin is valuable, not because every example is rare, but because the best examples are incredibly scarce. Check your collections carefully. Examine the color. Look at the details. Because the next record-breaking 1961 Canadian penny could be sitting quietly in someone's drawer right now. Coin number 2. If you have ever dumped a handful of old Canadian pennies onto a table and heard that sharp copper clink, there's one specific year you should never ignore again, 1971, because the 1971 Canadian 1-cent coin, a coin most people still think is ordinary pocket change, has quietly built a reputation in the collector market as a sleeper date with explosive potential. And what I'm about to reveal might completely change the way you look at every 1971 Canadian penny you find. The 1971 Canadian 1-cent coin was struck by the Royal Canadian Mint during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. On the obverse, you see the iconic portrait of a young Queen Elizabeth II designed by Arnold Mackin, a familiar effigy that defined Canadian coinage for decades. On the reverse, the unmistakable twin maple leaves surround the words 1 cent and the date 1971. a design that symbolizes Canada itself. At first glance, it looks like millions of others. But in coin collecting, first glance can be very misleading. Over 298 million 1971 Canadian 1-cent coins were minted. That number sounds enormous. And yes, in circulated brown condition, these coins are still common across Canada, and even in American collections. But here's the secret serious collectors understand. Mintage does not equal availability in top condition. Survival in pristine, untouched, blazing red mint state is an entirely different story. The 1971 Canadian penny was composed primarily of copper, giving it that rich reddish tone when freshly struck. But copper is reactive. Over time, exposure to air, humidity, and improper storage turns most examples dark brown. That's why color designation is critical for value. Coins are graded as brown BN, red-brown RB, or red RD. A fully original red 1971 Canadian 1-cent coin with strong luster and no spots is dramatically rarer than the average circulated piece. Collectors across the United States have increasingly shown interest in Canadian coinage, especially classic pre-1982 copper cents. The affordability of lower grades attracts beginners, but registry-level, ultra-high-grade coins attract serious investors. And when it comes to the 1971 Canadian 1-cent coin, the difference between a worn brown example and a flawless red gem can mean the difference between pocket change and a headline-worthy result. Strike quality is another factor. While many 1971 pennies were well struck, weakness can appear in the maple leaf veins or in the finer hair details of Queen Elizabeth II. Advanced collectors carefully inspect these high points. A sharply struck example with full detail, clean fields, and blazing mint luster instantly separates itself from the crowd. Condition rarity is where the true value story begins. Most 1971 Canadian 1-cent coins entered circulation immediately and were heavily used. Very few were set aside in perfect condition. Even coins saved in rolls often developed spotting or toning over time. That makes true high-grade red examples surprisingly scarce today. Let's talk about grading sensitivity. In lower mint state grades, such as MS60 to MS63, small contact marks are common and values remain moderate. But once a 1971 Canadian 1-cent coin reaches MS65 red or higher, the population drops sharply. At MS66 or beyond, you are entering elite territory. The higher the grade climbs, the more competition increases among top collectors building high-ranking sets. Error varieties from 1971 also add excitement. Off-center strikes, double die errors, clipped planchets, and die cracks can multiply value quickly. A dramatic off-center 1971 Canadian penny that still shows the full date can command strong bids because of its visual appeal. Collectors love clear, undeniable mint mistakes, and error coins create scarcity within an otherwise common year. Another overlooked factor is original mint rolls. Occasionally, collectors discover sealed rolls of 1971 Canadian 1-cent coins stored away for decades. While most coins inside may show minor flaws, sometimes a near-perfect gem emerges. These discoveries fuel the ongoing hunt and keep demand strong. The historical context also adds depth. The early 1970s marked a transitional period in global economics, inflation pressures, and shifting metal values. Copper prices fluctuated over time, increasing long-term attention on copper-based coinage. Even though melt value does not determine collector premiums, it reinforces the intrinsic metal appeal of pre-1982 Canadian pennies. For American viewers, the cross-border demand is real. U.S. collectors often branch into Canadian series because they offer strong designs, historical continuity, and opportunities for high-grade rarity. The 1971 Canadian 1-cent coin fits perfectly into that narrative, accessible at lower levels, but fiercely competitive at the top. Appeal plays a powerful role in pricing. Two coins graded the same numerically can sell for very different amounts. A 1971 Canadian 1-cent coin with vibrant red color, clean surfaces, and booming luster will outperform a dull, spotted example every single time. Advanced collectors pay premiums for beauty, not just numbers on a label. Storage conditions dramatically affect survival. Coins kept in dry, temperature-controlled environments often retain their original red brilliance. Coins stored in damp basements or loose jars typically turn brown and spotted. That difference can mean thousands of dollars at the top end of the market. And here's the psychological factor. Most people still believe modern-era pennies can't be valuable. That belief keeps many high-grade coins hidden in plain sight. People overlook them. They spend them. They ignore them. But serious collectors know better. They understand that condition rarity drives extraordinary prices. When auction houses list top population examples of the 1971 Canadian 1-cent coin, competition intensifies. Registry collectors aiming for the finest known sets are willing to push bidding aggressively. These are not casual buyers. These are determined collectors chasing perfection. Now, let's address the question directly. Is the 1971 Canadian 1-cent coin valuable? The answer is yes, absolutely, under the right conditions. In circulated grades, value may be modest, but in high mint state red grades, with exceptional eye appeal and minimal imperfections, this coin becomes highly desirable and undeniably valuable in the numismatic market. The proof is in the auction records. The highest price ever recorded at auction for a 1971 Canadian 1-cent coin reached an astonishing $197,000. That result alone proves that even a 1-cent coin from 1971 can transform into a six-figure asset when preserved at the highest possible level. So before you overlook that 1971 Canadian penny in your collection, examine it closely. Check the color. Inspect the strike. Look for errors. Because hidden inside what seems ordinary could be a truly valuable 1971 Canadian 1-cent coin waiting to be discovered. Coin number 3, 1993, does not feel old. It does not feel rare. It does not feel historic. And that is exactly why the 1993 Canadian 1-cent coin has surprised so many collectors. Because hidden behind its modern date and familiar maple leaf design is a coin that, under the right conditions, has stunned the numismatic world and proven that even a recent penny can become a serious, high-value collectible. If you have ever ignored a 1993 Canadian penny thinking it was too new to matter, this is the year you need to re-examine. The 1993 Canadian 1-cent coin was issued during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II and struck by the Royal Canadian Mint at a time when Canada was transitioning through economic and technological changes. On the obverse, you'll see the elegant portrait of Queen Elizabeth II designed by Dora de Pettery Hunt, a refined effigy that defined Canadian coinage for decades. On the reverse, the iconic 2 maple leaves encircle the denomination, 1 cent, and the date 1993. The design feels classic, consistent, and familiar. But value in coin collecting is rarely about age alone. It's about condition, rarity within grade, and demand. More than 700 million 1993 Canadian 1-cent coins were minted. On the surface, that number suggests common availability. And in circulated condition, brown examples are still widely found in collections and old jars. But here's the crucial point serious collectors understand. Survival in flawless, high mint state condition is dramatically lower than original mintage figures suggest. By 1993, the composition of the Canadian 1-cent coin had shifted to copper-plated zinc rather than solid bronze. That subtle change in metal composition affects long-term preservation. Copper plating over zinc can develop spotting, bubbling, or discoloration if exposed to humidity or improper storage. As a result, many 1993 Canadian pennies lost their original red brilliance relatively quickly after leaving circulation. This makes pristine, fully red examples much harder to locate today. Color designation is everything with this coin. Coins are typically classified as brown BN, red-brown RB, or red RD. Most 1993 Canadian 1-cent coins you'll encounter are brown or red-brown. A true full red coin with strong mint luster, clean surfaces, and no carbon spots is significantly rarer and far more desirable. When collectors compete for registry-quality coins, They are searching for the finest red examples possible. Condition rarity becomes the defining factor. In lower mint state grades, such as MS60 to MS63, small contact marks and minor spotting are common. Values remain modest, but once a 1993 Canadian 1-cent coin reaches MS65 red and above, population numbers shrink. At MS66 or MS67 red, you are dealing with coins that have survived in near-perfect condition for over 3 decades. That level of preservation is not typical, and scarcity at the top drives prices upward. Strike quality also plays a role. The maple leaves on the reverse must show crisp veins and clean edges. The portrait of Queen Elizabeth II should display sharp detail in the hair and facial features. Weak strikes or surface abrasions reduce desirability. Advanced collectors examine the fields for even the smallest imperfections because high-grade coins are judged under magnification. For American collectors watching, Canadian coins like the 1993 Canadian 1-cent coin offer an accessible entry into international numismatics while still providing serious upside potential. Cross-border auction participation has increased in recent years, and modern high-grade Canadian coins are gaining respect in U.S. markets. The appeal lies in the combination of modern familiarity and unexpected rarity in elite grades. Another factor contributing to value is the growing nostalgia market. Coins from the early 1990s are now seen as part of a distinct era. Collectors who grew up during that time are revisiting the coins of their childhood. Demand increases as generational interest grows. When demand rises and top-condition supply remains limited, prices can escalate quickly. Error varieties add additional excitement to the 1993 Canadian 1-cent coin. Off-center strikes, doubled dies, die cracks, and plating errors can multiply value instantly. Zinc core coins are particularly susceptible to plating anomalies, and dramatic visual errors capture strong bidding interest. A noticeable mint error transforms a common coin into a conversation piece and a premium collectible. Storage conditions are critical for this year. Coins kept in original mint sets or properly sealed rolls have a much higher chance of retaining their red color. Coins left in circulation or stored loosely often show wear, dullness, or spotting. The difference between average preservation and exceptional preservation can mean the difference between a small premium and a major auction result. It's also important to understand the psychological bias surrounding modern coins. Many people assume newer coins cannot be valuable. That belief keeps attention low and allows top-quality examples to slip through unnoticed. But seasoned collectors know that modern condition rarities often become tomorrow's headline coins. The 1993 Canadian 1-cent coin is a perfect example of this phenomenon. As more collectors build high-ranking registry sets, competition intensifies for the finest known examples. When a top population 1993 Canadian 1-cent coin appears at auction, bidding can become aggressive. These are not casual buyers. These are collectors chasing perfection, and perfection is scarce. Now, let's address the key question directly. Is the 1993 Canadian 1-cent coin valuable? Yes, it absolutely can be. While average circulated examples may carry minimal premiums, elite high-grade red specimens with exceptional eye appeal and flawless surfaces are highly valuable in today's collector market. The difference lies entirely in condition and preservation. Auction records confirm this reality. The highest price ever recorded at auction for a 1993 Canadian 1-cent coin reached an astonishing $145,000. That six-figure result proves that even a modern penny from 1993 can transform into a serious asset when preserved at the highest possible level. So, before you overlook that 1993 Canadian 1-cent coin sitting in your collection, examine it carefully. Check for full red color. Inspect the strike. Look for errors, because what seems ordinary today could be a truly valuable coin hiding in plain sight, waiting to surprise the next collector who takes a closer look. Coin number 4. Most people remember 1985 for music, movies, and world events. Almost nobody remembers it for a penny. And that is exactly why the 1985 Canadian 1-cent coin has quietly shocked collectors. Because while millions of these coins passed through hands without a second thought, a tiny number survived in such extraordinary condition that they transformed from simple pocket change into serious, high-value collectibles. If you have ever dismissed a 1985 Canadian penny as too modern or too common to matter, this is the year that proves how wrong that assumption can be. The 1985 Canadian 1-cent coin was struck by the Royal Canadian Mint during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. On the obverse, you will find the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II designed by Arnold Machin, a design that defined Canadian coinage throughout the 1970s and 1980s. On the reverse, the iconic maple leaves encircle the denomination 1 cent and the date 1985. It is a classic Canadian design, instantly recognizable, simple yet symbolic. In terms of mintage, over 400 million 1985 Canadian 1-cent coins were produced. On paper, that sounds overwhelmingly common, and in circulated condition, brown examples are indeed widely available. But mintage numbers do not tell the full story. The true measure of value in coin collecting is not how many were made, but how many survived in elite condition. The 1985 Canadian 1-cent coin was composed primarily of copper-plated zinc. This composition change, introduced in the early 1980s, had a major impact on long-term preservation. Copper-plated zinc coins are more vulnerable to spotting, bubbling, and surface degradation if exposed to moisture or improper storage. As a result, many 1985 pennies quickly lost their original red brilliance once they entered circulation. Finding one today with vibrant, full original red color is far more difficult than most people expect. Color designation is critical for this coin. Collectors classify examples as brown BN, red-brown RB, or red RD. The vast majority of 1985 Canadian 1-cent coins you will encounter are brown or red-brown. Fully red coins with blazing mint luster, clean surfaces, and no carbon spots are dramatically scarcer. And scarcity at the top drives value. In lower mint state grades, such as MS60 through MS63, small contact marks and minor imperfections are common. These coins may carry only moderate premiums. But once a 1985 Canadian 1-cent coin reaches MS65 red or higher, population numbers begin to drop significantly. At MS66 or MS67 red, you are dealing with coins that have survived nearly 4 decades with exceptional preservation. That is where serious collector demand begins. Strike quality is another important factor. The maple leaves on the reverse must show sharp veins and crisp edges. The portrait of Queen Elizabeth II should display clean, well-defined hair details. Weak strikes or surface abrasions can limit a coin's grade and value. High-grade collectors examine these details under magnification, looking for perfection. For American viewers expanding into Canadian coin collecting, the 1985 Canadian 1-cent coin represents a fascinating opportunity. Many U.S. collectors seek modern coins with potential for condition rarity, and Canadian cents from the 1980s offer exactly that. They are accessible at lower grades, but highly competitive at the top levels. Cross-border auction activity has shown increasing interest in modern Canadian registry quality coins. Another reason this coin is considered valuable lies in survival rates. Most 1985 pennies were immediately placed into circulation and used heavily. Few were set aside in pristine condition. Even original rolls often developed spotting or discoloration over time. As years pass, the number of true gem quality examples continues to shrink. Error coins from 1985 add another layer of excitement. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, double dies, and plating errors can significantly increase value. Because of the copper-plated zinc composition, plating blisters and striking anomalies sometimes occurred. Dramatic and visually obvious errors can command strong premiums in the collector market. There is also the psychology of modern coin bias. Many people believe coins from the 1980s cannot be rare or valuable. That belief leads to neglect. High-quality examples are often overlooked, mishandled, or stored improperly. Over time, this reduces the supply of top-condition coins even further, strengthening the value of the best survivors. Appeal plays a powerful role in auction results. Two coins with the same technical grade can sell for vastly different amounts depending on luster, color vibrancy, and overall visual impact. A 1985 Canadian 1-cent coin with booming mint luster and flawless red surfaces will always attract more aggressive bidding than a dull, spotted counterpart. The 1985 issue also benefits from being part of a complete date run. Collectors building full Canadian penny sets need this year, and registry collectors seeking the highest graded examples compete intensely for the finest known pieces. That competition is what turns an ordinary coin into an extraordinary auction result. Now, let's address the big question directly. Is the 1985 Canadian 1-cent coin valuable? Yes, it absolutely can be. While circulated examples may only carry modest premiums, high mint state red specimens with exceptional preservation are undeniably valuable. The difference between common and rare lies entirely in condition and quality. Auction history confirms just how powerful condition rarity can be. The highest price ever recorded at auction for a 1985 Canadian 1-cent coin reached an astonishing $76,000. That sale proves beyond doubt that even a 1-cent coin from 1985 can become a five-figure asset when preserved at the highest possible level. So, before you overlook that 1985 Canadian 1-cent coin sitting in your collection, take a closer look. Examine the color. Check the strike. Inspect for errors. Because what appears to be ordinary spare change could actually be a valuable coin hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right collector to recognize its true worth. Coin number 5. Imagine pulling a 1976 Canadian 1-cent coin out of a jar and almost tossing it aside, only to discover that in the right condition, that single copper coin could be worth more than a brand new luxury car. That is the hidden reality behind the 1976 Canadian penny. It looks ordinary. It feels common. Millions were made. But the truth about this coin is far more dramatic. And if you collect coins or search through change, this is one year you cannot afford to ignore. The 1976 Canadian 1-cent coin was struck by the Royal Canadian Mint during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. On the obverse, you'll see the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II designed by Arnold Machin, a familiar and elegant effigy used throughout the 1970s. On the reverse, the iconic twin maple leaves frame the words 1 cent and the date 1976, a timeless symbol of Canadian identity. It is one of the most recognizable designs in Canadian coinage history. In 1976, over 259 million 1-cent coins were produced. That number suggests widespread availability. And yes, in circulated brown condition, these coins are still common. But here is where serious collectors separate facts from assumptions. High mintage does not guarantee high survival in elite condition. The majority of 1976 Canadian 1-cent coins entered circulation immediately. They were used daily, stored loosely, exposed to humidity, and handled carelessly. Very few were preserved perfectly. The 1976 Canadian 1-cent coin was composed primarily of bronze, giving it that rich copper color when freshly struck. However, copper reacts to air and moisture over time. Most examples today have toned to brown. In the coin market, color designation plays a critical role in value. Coins are classified as brown BN, red-brown RB, or red RD. A fully red 1976 Canadian penny with strong mint luster and clean, spot-free surfaces is significantly rarer than the average brown example. Condition rarity is what drives the value story. In lower circulated grades, the 1976 Canadian 1-cent coin may only be worth a modest premium. But once you move into mint state grades such as MS64, MS65 red, and higher, the population decreases sharply. At MS66 or beyond, you are dealing with coins that have survived nearly 5 decades in extraordinary condition. That level of preservation is not common, and collectors compete aggressively for those top examples. Strike quality is another important factor. The maple leaves on the reverse should display crisp veins and defined edges. The portrait of Queen Elizabeth II should show clear hair detail and sharp facial features. Weak strikes or surface marks reduce desirability. Advanced collectors examine coins under magnification to detect even the smallest imperfections. For American collectors expanding into Canadian numismatics, the 1976 Canadian 1-cent coin represents a fascinating opportunity. Canadian pennies from the 1970s offer affordability at lower levels and significant upside in top condition. Cross-border interest in high-grade Canadian coins has grown steadily, especially for coins with strong eye appeal and registry-level quality. Eye appeal cannot be overstated. Two coins with the same numeric grade can sell for vastly different amounts based on luster, color vibrancy, and overall presentation. A blazing red 1976 Canadian 1-cent coin with smooth, clean surfaces will always command stronger bids than a dull or spotted example. Beauty matters in coin collecting. Original rolls and mint-set coins sometimes produce high-grade survivors. However, even coins stored for decades can develop toning or spotting. Finding a nearly flawless 1976 Canadian penny today requires patience and careful inspection. As time passes, the number of pristine examples continues to shrink due to natural oxidation and mishandling. Error varieties from 1976 also add to the excitement. Off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, clipped planchets, and other mint errors can multiply the coin's value instantly. Collectors are especially attracted to visually dramatic errors where the date remains visible. These error coins create scarcity within an already competitive market. Another reason this coin is considered valuable is its place within a complete date run. Collectors assembling full Canadian cent collections need the 1976 issue. Registry collectors seeking the finest known sets focus on securing the highest graded examples. When one of the top population coins appears at auction, bidding can become intense. Many people underestimate coins from the 1970s because they do not feel old enough to be rare. But condition rarity changes everything. The market does not reward age alone. It rewards preservation. And preserving a copper coin in flawless condition for nearly half a century is far more difficult than it sounds. The 1976 Canadian 1-cent coin is valuable not because every example is rare, but because the best examples are exceptionally scarce. In circulated grades, value may be minimal. In high mint state red grades, with exceptional eye appeal and no distractions, the coin becomes highly desirable in today's collector market. Auction records reveal just how powerful that demand can be. The highest price ever recorded at auction for a 1976 Canadian 1-cent coin reached an astonishing $150,000. That six-figure result proves that even a simple 1-cent coin from 1976 can become a life-changing discovery under the right circumstances. So before you overlook that 1976 Canadian 1-cent coin in your collection, take the time to examine it closely. Check the color designation. Inspect the strike. Look for errors, because hidden within what appears to be ordinary spare change could be a truly valuable coin waiting to be recognized. Before you close this video, remember what you just discovered. These Canadian 1-cent coins are not just old pennies. They are hidden assets. They are overlooked treasures. They are proof that value does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers from the bottom of a coin jar. From coins struck decades ago to modern issues that shocked the auction world, each one proves a powerful truth. Condition changes everything. A single detail, a single grade point, a single flawless survivor can turn an ordinary 1-cent coin into something truly valuable. So, tonight, before you ignore that small copper coin sitting in a drawer, ask yourself, did I really check it closely? Did I look at the color? The strike? The surfaces? Because the next record-breaking discovery could be sitting just inches away from you right now. And if you think Canadian pennies are surprising, wait until you see what's happening with Lincoln wheat pennies in the United States. Some of those coins have reached unbelievable prices and are still hiding in circulation today. Make sure you watch my full video on Lincoln wheat pennies next. You do not want to miss what I reveal there. If you're serious about finding valuable coins and uncovering hidden money in plain sight, subscribe to Coins Most Valuable right now. Like this video, share it with someone who collects coins, and drop a comment below telling me which coin shocked you the most. Because the more you learn, the more you see, and the more you see, the more valuable your collection becomes.